Hi everyone, my name is Charlie. This is the third tag I am doing today, and that is the reading tastes tag. I was tagged by Ros or Scallydandling about the books. I have no idea who created this tag or where it comes from, but I haven't done this before despite thinking I had. I've been through every video, so I guess we better get going. 1. What is your favourite genre? I suppose in terms of genre, I'd say fantasy, simply because I have an entire bookcase dedicated to fantasy fiction. It's what got me into reading, and I still am especially fond of any book that talks about magic or folklore in the everyday. I also think that there is a vast wealth of stories that are still being told in the fantasy genre. I do quite like the imagination there. I will admit to not being the fondest of the Lord of the Rings style fantasies though. And it's strange because I think that they're the ones that everyone seeks, and what most people's tastes are geared towards is that medieval England style fantasy, but my favourite books in that genre aren't doing that. 2. What is the most difficult genre for you to read? For me, this is romance. I'm a very cynical person, and romance always seems to have bright and chirpy people, and there's always something of a misunderstanding there. And I don't know, me and romance just don't get along. I am too hardened to that. I'm too cynical. I'm too pessimistic. I am quite like the Wicked Queen when it comes to that, in that I'm more likely to rip out someone's heart than to try and earn it. 3. What is your preferred age range? We could get into a whole thing of categorising books by age, couldn't we? But I'd say that nowadays, the books that I'm reading are for adults. I feel as though I did outgrow a certain type of young adult fiction. I don't feel as though I've ever outgrown middle grade fiction, but there's a certain type of young adult fiction that I don't particularly care for. So I'd say age range wise, we're looking at adult fiction here. 4. Are you a character driven or plot driven reader? I am a plot driven reader, and I have discovered that through BookTube. From all the books that I have disliked, that other people have adored, I have found that I am a plot-driven reader. If there's no plot, if there's no plot, I'm not here for it. I am getting a bit better in liking books that are a bit plotless, but then I'm left questioning just what the story's about. Are you coming at me with characters and themes, and then you're wanting me to decipher stuff? And I'm not here for that. I'm here to be entertained. I'm not here to work hard. 5. Do you have a preferred perspective? You should have asked Charlie from years ago. You should have asked Charlie from years back, because years ago I wouldn't read anything that was first person. Anything that had the eye, I couldn't do it. I thought that it was a bit too simple. Indeed, it seemed weird to me because most of my favourite books were told from the I voice. The Bed and Breakfast Star as a child was one that I hold to such esteem. Even the Ardoris books are told in the first person. It was weird that I only liked third person past tense, and that was my preferred perspective. Nowadays, I'll read out. I can't be choosy. 6. Do you have a preferred tense? I would say past tense. I think that present tense can be a bit difficult. 7. Do you like series or standalone books best? Again, this is where my reading tastes have changed. I used to like series because I felt as though I had the joy of getting to revisit characters. Nowadays, I prefer standalone books because I much prefer being able to read one book and then not feel like I have to dedicate loads more time to these characters. And I do prefer this sort of one and done type thing. Saying that, the only books I have out myself are series. Maybe that's why I prefer standalone books now, because I'm dedicating so much my own time to continuing series that it's nice to be able to leave other people's stories after about 50,000 words. 100,000 words. I don't know. I don't know how long books are supposed to be anymore. 8. Which would you rather, long or short books? Can I get a medium-sized book, please? You know, somewhere between the 350 and the 450 page mark. I always used to say that I didn't see any need for books to be over 500 pages. Yet some of my favourite books have passed that point. I do particularly like when a story is quite short, yet it's managed to pack a lot in. So I would much rather a concise story full of everything I like than a huge narrative that ends up being a bit wishy-washy. 9. Which format do you like best? So, I am fond of a hardcover. It's who I have always been. But I do own more paperbacks than hardcovers. At the same time, I do feel like paperbacks get wrecked more than a hardback. So I'm going to say hardbacks that are the same size as paperbacks, but they're able to take a bit more wear and tear. And 10. What are you currently reading? So the book that I was reading before I entered October is Nudibranch by Irenosen Okojie, and this is a collection of short stories that are filled with weird, wonderful, grotesque images, and I love the language and I love the poetry and I love the idea of being able to revisit this and properly understand what the author is doing with the stories. There is a darkness here and this edge of folklore and fairy tale that I'm adoring, and I have been eking these short stories out over the last month now as I read other things. And then a book that I am really struggling with is Sylvias Lovers by Elizabeth Gaskell. I think that this might be a book that I read incredibly slowly and push aside and maybe forget about finishing it in Victober, because I feel like I'm forcing myself to read it for a challenge. I know that quite a few people like this book, and the second half apparently improves upon the first. And then, once again, I am supposed to tag people, and once again, I don't know that I want to. If I was going to tag people, I would tag the usual suspects of Dane of Dane Reads, Emma of Emma Rosen Books, Matthew of MCS Books, Steve of Steve Partridge, and a final one, Sophie of Redhead Reading. But they're the usual suspects, and they know they are. And if they don't know they are, well, I'm disappointed in them. Anyway, that's another tag down. I'm going to get through them all. I'm going to do it. Some people might doubt that. You might be questioning, Charlie, you can go around looking like a cat burglar, but you're never going to complete these tags. And I tell you something, I'll do it. I will accept this sentence, this penance. And I hope you got something out of this video, even if it was sheer boredom. And until next time, that is all.